Alright, hello other investors. So it's time for my monthly portfolio update. So this is a rundown of how my portfolio did, my public portfolio that is, during the month of October. So this is the portfolio that I did an initial overview on last month, and it's a portfolio of stocks that pass my checklist. If you don't know what my checklist system is, then I've got videos about it on my channel, so go and have a look through that. So I do, full transparency, I do own other stocks outside of this portfolio, but these are stocks that I purchased a year or two or more ago, when I don't feel I'm as competent an investor as I am now. I didn't have the checklist system I have now, so this is a portfolio that's run entirely on that system. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get straight into it. Oh, let's put this down here. So these are screenshots, obviously, of my returns for the past month. This is taken from my Stockopedia account. So I update my portfolio on Stockopedia. I do all my actual trades and things through AJ Bell, but just to give myself a bit of privacy, I've decided to set up the portfolio on Stockopedia, and I will update all of my buys and sells and everything through there. It's all exactly one-to-one as it would be. I include fees and taxes and that type of thing on there, and dividends, all of that. So it's as close as possible as it can be. So this is the returns for the month of October. So not a great month, as I'm sure probably quite a few people have experienced, especially in the UK markets in the last month. So we're down 3.27% for the month, which is not ideal. But we have the benchmark I use is the FTSE All Share Index. And for those that don't know, that's kind of a basket of about 600 stocks, I think, of the UK, which covers kind of the big caps down to the small caps. So it's a broad spectrum, which is kind of what I do. I invest in a wide range of sizes of stocks. So we beat that. That had a shocking month of minus 4.19. And then so this is year to date. We're still managing to maintain a positive of just under 6%, but we are down from highs of kind of 15% plus in the middle of the summer. So we've taken a big hit in the second half of the year. It's been quite a difficult time to be a stock investor for the past few months. And again, though, we're destroying my benchmark, which is the FTSE All Share at the moment, which is down almost 3% for the year. And then all time for the portfolio. So this goes back to kind of the beginning of March 2022. I'm up less than I am year to date, actually. So we had a bit of a bad time, kind of end of 21, start of 22, when all the markets crashed. But we're up 4.28%, which, considering the volatility, the turmoil, the difficulties that there have been in the markets, especially the UK over the past couple of years, I don't mind that. I'm actually quite proud of that, even though 4% over kind of almost 2 years isn't fantastic returns. Given the markets we've had, I don't think it's too bad. And again, my benchmark, the FTSE All Share, is down 6% over that time. So we are giving ourselves quite a big beat over my benchmark. So I'm fairly happy with that. And then here's a overview of my portfolio. This is my entire public portfolio. You can see, if you want to just pause, I'm not going to go through everything in detail here, but if you want to pause this and have a look what I've done, you feel free to. But this is all of the stocks I currently hold, so it's a mix of UK and US stocks, and I've put it in order of gains. So there's obviously not much green at the moment. Meta has kind of saved my portfolio, so a huge gain on that, up £3,500, almost 80%. And then we kind of run down. And my biggest loser at the moment is Impex Asset Management on 46.3 negative %. I have been working a lot over the past 6 months, reading a lot of books, kind of developing new strategies on timing my entries and exits better. So with my new systems, so I've developed some systems over the past few months, which I'll discuss more when I go onto the charts. I shouldn't put myself in a position to have negative 46% losses again on a stock, just because I'm starting to use stop losses now, which I wasn't really doing before. So yeah, not a lot of red on there, a lot of them not too far into the red though, and I've actually cut a couple of positions in the past month, which I'll get into, that have hit their stop losses, and I've cut them around 15-20% just to stop me getting those larger losses again. But I don't mind having Impax Asset Management on -46. Well, I kind of do. That's a bit of a lie. I'd rather it wasn't. But I've got a lot of confidence that that will come back. The whole of that sector, kind of asset management as a sector, has been decimated over the past year. It pays a healthy dividend yield. So I'm just collecting the dividends as we go. And I've got every confidence it's going to come back. So it's just one of them. I'll hold it. And then once it's in its up and it's an uptrend again, I'll set trailing stop losses as we go. So let's get on to running through what I've actually done this month in terms of buys and sales. I'll put that onto here. So buys, all I have purchased this month, one purchase, which is quite unusual, I usually do more than that, is YouGov. So I'll run through the charts. Anywhere where there's a yellow circle on these charts is where I've made a purchase. So last month's update, it's actually part of this month's update. At the start of the month, around here, I sold, because I purchased back here somewhere, and I had a stop loss here, where I've got it now. YouGov fell through here, so I sold when it hit my stop loss. And then when it had some good news, it released its earnings, which I don't think TradingView is very good at showing what earnings are in UK stocks. If we click on this, reported, 12.7 billion revenue. That's a complete lie. So these are pointless for UK stocks on TradingView. For US stocks they work, but not for UK. It wasn't poor results, it was quite good results, and you can see there was a big volume spike, a huge jump in share price of that day, 23% move in one day. And my idea was, even before these earnings, I was out on the stop loss, but if it came back into this trading channel that you can see here that's bouncing between, then I was going to get back into the stock. So I waited this day just to check that it wasn't going to retreat all the way back down. It closed above here, and then I entered the next day. And the idea is we've got a stop loss below in case it falls through again. But I will now hold while it bounces through this channel, and when/if, but I think in the long term it is when, it's just whether I get stopped out before then, it breaks through the top of this channel, I will add to the position, and then we'll be in an uptrend, and I will add on pullbacks as we go forward. So that's the only stock I've added to. It was just a starter position. I can't remember exactly how, I can show you on here actually. YouGov, there's a £1,500 position. So a kind of a starter position in there. And that's the only buys I've made this month. The sales I've made this month, so I'll have to go onto a different chart for this actually, a different list. So this is my watch list on the right here. So this is all the stocks that currently pass my checklist and means I'm allowed to buy them, either for investment if they're at the right valuation line, or I will allow myself to do some kind of momentum trades on them as well, but I have very strict rules for that. And just so everyone's aware, this purple line will be, you'll see this on most of the charts, is my valuation line. So that's kind of where I value the stock. So for investing, I like to buy under this line, and I will allow myself to buy for trades if it's over that line, but that's very much for trades, and I have to have strict stops. So yes, sorry, I'm getting distracted now. The sales I have made this month, so Enphase, luckily got out of this one just in time. Oh, let's move this. Enphase. So I've deleted the yellow circle because I'm no longer in it, but I bought around here. I thought I timed the bottom perfectly, but I hadn't at all. But the reason I bought there wasn't because I thought I timed the bottom, it's because it had just snuck under my valuation line. So I just started at a small position, very small position. And I wouldn't have added to that position until it was in a confirmed uptrend again. And I had a stop set just under this line. And the reason for that is because there was a support here and here where it had bounced twice, and it was under my valuation line, so I thought it was quite a sensible spot to make my first entry. Anyway, didn't work out. So Enphase do solar microinverters for solar panels. So before they released results, a couple of other solar companies, so in the same sector, released earnings with profit warnings, and that was what happened here. On this day, there was a 14% collapse in the stock. So Enphase didn't release any news, but their competitors did, saying that they were really struggling in the market and customers were drying up and things. So I sold then, A, because it went under this, my stop loss, but also I think I would have sold anyway just because of that read across. It was very likely it was going to hit Enphase pretty hard. And then continuing on, I've got to actually zoom in on this a little bit for you. Yeah, then they released earnings, which weren't as terrible as they could have been, but there was another kind of 15% drop, and it's kind of been trickling down further. So I would have been, if I'd stayed in, kind of over 30% down. I got out at still a reasonable loss because of this big drop. It was a 21% loss, but that's fine. That's why the stop losses are there. It was a starter position, so in terms of the portfolio, it's not too bad. And I will now just wait. It's below the valuation line, so we've not got anything to worry about there. I will wait for there to be either a trading channel where I might start a position, a small position, or I'll wait for a confirmed uptrend. And what I use to confirm uptrends is just the 150-day moving average. It's basically all I have on my chart in terms of indicators and things. And I've got an RSI down here and volume. So I've got a few, but nothing too technical, just the kind of the standards. I will wait for it until it passes above this to start kind of a full size position. I might nibble below there, but it will be kind of starter positions only with stop losses. Other sales, Tesla. So yeah, Tesla, it was one of those I bought in. So I bought in twice into the stock. I bought here and then sold up here, which in hindsight was reasonable timing. And then I bought back in again around here. It went under my valuation line. I was waiting for it to go a bit further and it came back above it. So I got in there, rode it all the way up and was holding, and I had a stop loss. So it went back up, and I put a stop loss under this low here, and then I just got stopped out. So I was out of that. And ironically, it looks like it's coming back now, but I will wait for there to be continued upward momentum on that. So I probably won't buy back into this again until either it drops all the way down here and shows sign of a bottom, or if it stays in this range here until it breaks out above this resistance at the top, and I'll buy on momentum going forward. But that'll be more of a trade rather than an investment. So we made 18% on that, so not great. I think it was kind of up to 35 or so up there, but that's just, I've got to stick to my systems, and I can tweak them over time if I need to, but stick to the system as we are. How are we doing for time? Not too bad. Argentex, so this is a UK kind of financial services company, like foreign exchange and things, but they do it for kind of institutional customers and very wealthy private individuals, but kind of large scale currency conversion, that type of thing for businesses and stuff mainly. Again, this is one that I've owned since down here and was riding it up, and I had a stop loss, and I had it kind of just under this where it kept bouncing here. I had it about there, and then we came down, and I got stopped out. And I'm starting to notice, so you can see here there was weakness here, but there wasn't really weakness in any of their trading updates or in their numbers. They're still growing reasonably well, but there was weakness. And it turns out at this point here, where we had this huge drop, 22% in a day, the CEO of the company, they haven't actually officially said why, but he left immediately without any explanation. The people that were left, the management that were left, didn't give a reason for his departure. He wasn't thanked, so I assume he's been fired. But I can't help but think, look at all this volume in here. I can't help but think that's kind of a bit of insider trading going on. People knowing the bad news is coming and getting out. So I am starting to notice that more and more. And it goes in positive ways as well, so both negative and positive. But I have noticed if there's volume coming in for kind of not really any major reasons, there's normally something going on in the background. And as far as I'm aware, that kind of technically is insider trading, but I don't know what can be done about it. But luckily, my stop got me out. Wasn't much of a gain on this. 13.3% profit on that one. As I say, up here it would have been a lot higher. I'm unsure on this now. It technically still does pass my checklist, but with the CEO just left, no reason's been given, and he was one of the founders of the company. About a year ago, the other founder of the company, who was the COO or CFO, I can't remember, he left unexpectedly as well. So it's not a very stable company in terms of management, so it's kind of putting me off a bit now. So I'm certainly not going to be jumping back in anytime soon. I'm going to wait for at least another kind of couple of sets of earnings just to see what's going on, seeing if I get any more information, see who they put in place for kind of replacement CEO and that type of thing. So it's one I'll keep an eye on, but I'm not in any rush at all to jump back in at the moment. The other one was Calnex, which is a UK company, and I think I did mention this on a couple of these on my last portfolio update. I'm running through my portfolio for the first time, but these were actually technically in October, so I'm going to include them here. But these do testing. Their product is testing for telecommunications networks, so for 5G networks and 4G networks and all that type of thing. And yeah, again, I had a stop loss on it, and you can see there's a initial pull down. I think I got out about here, but it was before the massive pull down. I think I very conveniently sold about here because my stop would have been under here. So I think I got out here, and then literally a couple of days later, it absolutely dived. So yeah, they're basically just saying there's no, the sector as a whole isn't very good at the moment. Their customers are not spending very much, and I think it's something that will come back in the future. But at the moment, Calnex's revenue is just completely drying up. They're not growing at the moment, hence the huge decline in share price. I mean, if we look here, from where it started its fall, it was down 65%. It's pulled back a bit, just to 56, but a huge decline in share price. So again, I'm not in any huge hurry to get back into this one. I think it's probably, oh yeah, so I've done a new valuation. My valuation line was kind of up here, but with all of the new news, they've given revenue guidance and things, which off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was, but I ran my value calculator again and it came out down here. So I'm not in any rush to get back to this. Either it will kind of start making a pullback, but I don't think it will because of all the news. So I feel like this is kind of just a bounce in a downtrend, and it will probably continue under. And if we show sign of a bottom down here, then I will consider re-entering, because I don't think it's terminal. I don't think it's a kind of a long-term issue. I think it's just the fluctuations of kind of the economy at the moment, and their customers having to kind of rein back on spending a bit. So we will see on that one. But that wasn't too bad at all. So it was a 3% loss. I think I actually must have sold here. Would have bought in around here, and then I sold on this spike down. Continuing on, yeah, so we've already done this. So I sold out and I bought back in here. We've gone through that. Games Workshop is one that I sold, and turns out it was not, well, we can't tell at the moment. It might have been a good time to sell, but it's one I got stopped out on. So very quickly, so this is one of my new, this is one of the new kind of rules that I've added to my strategy, is so when I enter a stock, I will use the kind of 150 moving average line as kind of an indicator. So I may nibble below the 150 moving average line. So if a stock forms a base, let me find a good example. So this is one that I hold at the moment, Gamma Communications. So you can see it's in a very clearly defined trading range between these two, top and bottom. So even if the moving average was still up here, I would allow myself to start a position in there, because it doesn't look like, unless they bring some more bad earnings out, that it's going to completely kind of like fall off a cliff. I'll allow myself to build a starter position, but I won't build a full position until the price action goes above the 150-day moving average. So let's use Games Workshop as an example, because it's a very kind of clear-cut one, how it goes. So I could build a start position here, but I can't build a full position until we go above the moving average. So here I could start building a position, and on the pullback here I could build until I'm at a full position. And I'm also using that as a way of kind of either taking profits or fully getting out of stocks to stop myself doing what I did at 2021, 2022, riding the stocks all the way up, not taking any profits, and then just watching them come all the way back down and losing all of my profits. So I don't want that to happen again. Even if it means I sacrifice some further gains, I'm only going to sacrifice a small amount. I'll explain how to now. But basically my way now of setting my stops is I will, once it's gone over the 150, I'll set a, let's make this red. I will set a stop either just below the moving average if there's enough space, or underneath the prior kind of support. And then once the stock keeps going up, once it has its first pullback and successfully pulls off there, I will move my stop loss up to that point, but where it meets the 150-day moving average. And this isn't my system, I got all of this from Stan Weinstein. So he's written a book called, what's it called? Okay, so it's this book, Stan Weinstein's Secret for Profiting in Bull and Bear Markets. So I am not an 100% kind of trader, but I did want to bring in some trading elements, just because I've decided I don't want to be holding through every cycle. I know that there's a lot of arguments for that, but I'm a very active investor. I'm at my computer every day, so I feel that there's no point in me holding all the way back down if I don't need to. So read this book if anyone's interested to hear more about this. But effectively, the very basics of it are, yes, this is, and then when it pulls up and pulls back down again, once it starts moving up again, I would move my stop loss to the point where it meets the moving average. And then up here, and it pulled up, so you can zoom in, it looks like it's all one downtrend, but it came down and then it moved up, so it started moving up, so I moved my stop loss to that point, and then I got stopped out. So this will be a test of it though, because you can see it's started going up again, but it's stopped at the moving average. So it could well be that this is now kind of forming a new downtrend. So if this starts coming down now and starts a new downtrend, then I've sold at the perfect time. If, however, it carries on up, you see I've got this green box. Once it breaks over the moving average again and breaks this level of support here, I'll re-enter. So I will sacrifice this 6%, but I'll be back into the stock and it will have just eliminated that risk of holding all the way down. So that's what I'm doing with all my stocks at the moment. Every stock I enter, I move my stop loss up in the same way once it's broken the 150 day. And for stocks like the one I just showed you, Gamma, if I'm entering in this trading range, I put a stop loss just below that trading range. So if it breaks down, then I'm out quickly. Just to keep my losses small. Because before I had the checklist and before I had this system, I still own quite a few stocks that aren't in the public portfolio that are at 60, 70, 80% losses because I didn't know what I was doing. And maybe one day I'll do a video going through them. I don't have them in the public portfolio because honestly, I bought them 2-3 years ago and I just didn't know what I was doing. So it's just not worth them having there. I have my system now and I want to see how this portfolio does using my system, not kind of silly decisions from years ago. But it'll probably be an entertaining video for me to go through them at some point, so I'll probably do that. Let me know if you do want me to do that. Yeah, so we sold there. Decent gains on this, so 61.5% gain on that one. Unfortunately, I didn't buy in again after here. I don't really know why. It was before I read all these books on trading and things, and I found it difficult to buy when it's going up for some reason, which I've since learned is what you should be doing. But I had it so ingrained into me before that you buy when it's low and build a position down here, that I haven't been buying on the way up. But now, with my new systems, I will be. So that's all of the sales. So it's been a lot more sales than buys this month, and I'd say all of the sales really, apart we're still to be proven on Games Workshop, but most of them have saved me a lot of money. A lot of the sales I've done have been followed by a big crash. So at the moment, very short span of data, but at the moment the system is working, so I'm quite happy with it. So I'll quickly run through. This is just, all of these are ones that I hold at the moment. So YouGov, we've talked through that. AJ Bell. So this has formed kind of like a trading channel. So I've started building a position. These are all very small buys. I'm not going to buy any more now until it breaks through the top here. And it's not in there, but I do have a mental stop that below this I will sell. Yeah, because there's a support here, support here, support here, which is bouncing off it at the moment. If it breaks through there, it's likely to fall at least down to here. So I'll sell my position, cut my losses, and then start rebuilding again at a lower level. But yeah, my next purchase, assuming we don't get stopped out, will be when it comes up here, breaks through this resistance here above the 150-day moving average, and that should be enough. That should be the signal of a new uptrend, and I'll add to my position here and build it as we go up. IGG, so all of the financial sectors have been hit very, very hard over the past few months. I think the market's just scared and people don't want to own them. Here again, we're kind of following a trend here, so I've started building a small position still under here. But now I have my starter position. I'm not going to add any more to this until it breaks through here. You can see we're under my valuation line. So as long as we're under my valuation line, I'm not too concerned about kind of when I start building a position, as long as there is sign that it's not a kind of a completely falling off a cliff, not a falling knife. But I'm still going to have stops, so there'll be a stop. I actually need to put one in for here, but this line was my stop, but I kind of was a bit lenient on it. But yeah, so when it comes back above here, I'll build a position there. Similar on Impax Asset Management. I do have a stop, which I really don't want it to hit because we're already down 48% on this, but the stop is under here because there's been previous support back here. So we'll see what happens on that, but I'm not adding to that until it gets above the 150-day. So yeah, financials are really in a bit of a tricky spot at the moment. And the thing with these, they all pass my checklist, they all score very highly. They're all still growing on the whole, revenues and profits. They're growing customer numbers. They're all still performing, apart from Impax Asset Management. Their revenues and things are falling just because they run investment funds and trusts and things, and retail at the moment are just pulling funds out of those because they're scared, and they're putting them into kind of bonds and T-bills and that type of thing, and savings accounts just to make their 5% safely. But once the market starts to turn, everyone will plough their money back in, and I can see this making a kind of a V-shaped recovery. It's been pummeled for the last couple of years, and I can see it going straight back up over a year or two. Bioventix, so UK biotech company. Again, it was in an uptrend, a very slight one, and it's just kind of taking a breather here, bouncing along. Released earnings last week, actually this week I think. I've put, if people don't follow, you may have got to this video through my Twitter account, but if you don't follow my Twitter account, I'll link it in the description below. But I do all of the companies that are on my watch list that I showed you earlier. Whenever they release earnings, I do kind of earnings snapshots, so just write my thoughts on the results and what it looks like, and I post all of them to my Twitter. So it's worth a follow if you have any interest in that. So that'd be UK and US stocks. But yeah, this is bouncing in this range. Keeps trying to drop below, but there is this trend line that it seems to be using as support as well. I'm not adding to this position at all until, again, it breaks through this resistance above the 150, and then I'll add and start building a position above this line. So you're noticing a trend. It just makes everything more straightforward, clear signals as to when I need to add, so there's no hesitation, just know what I'm doing. Doximity is a US healthcare company, and they are bouncing around down here, obviously. So here it was leveling off, so I started building a small position, and really, if I'm being honest, I should have had a stop loss here, but this was during the period when I was developing these strategies, and I didn't. So lesson learned. But so it took a drop, and I've since put a stop loss in here. If it falls through here, it's going to carry on falling. It looks like it's going to, so I'm kind of delaying the inevitable, I think. But there's a chance that it does go back up. Anyway, if it falls through there, I'm out. I'll take a loss, and I'll wait for a new base to form. But similarly on here, once it gets above the 150-day moving average, I mean, it's probably all the way back up here where the resistance is, I'll start building a position again. These are all kind of fairly small positions. I haven't built massive positions in them while they're under, so the stop losses that do hit, it's not kind of the end of the world. ResMed, a similar thing. I bought down here, so these are mistakes that I'm trying to cut out. As I say, I've developed all these these books that I've read, Stan Weinstein's book and things I've read over the last couple of months. So this was kind of a few months ago. So this is probably one of my last mistakes here. So this fall here, I thought, oh good, it's fallen a lot, I'll start a position. But really there's no sign of a base here. It's just a few days of trading and it's carried on falling further. Now there actually is a bit of a sign of a base. It's kind of bounced a few times off this resistance. So I've put my stop loss, I might just put my stop loss just under that candle actually. And then, so if it breaks through there, I will sell. But if it gets back up over 150 day, I'll start building a position. Kind of sound like a broken record now, don't I? Viva Systems. So this one is slightly different to the other ones. It's in a slight uptrend, though it's struggling at the moment. So in this one, did actually wait for it to get above the 150 day. It came above. I started a position here, and then added on a slight pullback here. So this is one of the first stocks where I've actually been following through on my what I should be doing of buying in an uptrend. It is showing some weakness just because the whole of the US market in the last month has shown weakness. Their earnings, the last earnings were good. Their next earnings are coming up soon. But ResMed released earnings this week and they weren't too bad. They're different companies obviously, but there's not like overall weakness in the US healthcare market, so it shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. And yeah, once it gets back going again, if it does, I'll continue to add to it on pullbacks. Gamma, so one I showed you earlier. So that's just bumbling along. I'm not doing anything until that breaks out the top there, well I'll add. Google. This is one of those where I have a mid-sized position, and it's been following this trend line. Obviously it's broken that trend line, but it's still kind of flirting with the 150-day moving average. So my stop loss here is the system I was showing you earlier. We pull back here and it carried on. I've put my stop down here. So this stop, now it's started to pull away, probably should be raised. I probably could raise this to the base of here. So if it's pulled back below the 150 day and then bounce but not hit the previous stop, then I would pull it straight onto that. So I mean, that's probably, it hasn't pulled up enough for my liking yet, so I'm going to leave it at there. But if that pulls up, kind of continues up back towards this trend line, then I'll move the stop to there. Kainos is another UK company, and this is one that is in a downwards trend. So this is one again that I really probably shouldn't have started building a position in yet, but it is under my 150-day moving average, and it did show a lot of signs of just kind of moving along, so I'm not too disheartened by it. It's all basically just waiting for the UK market to turn. There's so much weakness in the UK market over the past year. Once these start turning, all of the companies in this portfolio are high quality in my opinion, so it's just waiting for them. And again, I've got it, once it gets back over there, I'll start building position. Meta, one of my best ones that's been kind of making the portfolio for this year. Huge uptrend. We've got to the stage now where we're kind of in this sideways channel. So when it starts to form a sideways channel, I will raise the stop to the bottom of that channel effectively. And again, Meta released incredible results. I don't know how the market hasn't moved more. In fact, on the day that they released the results, the stock went down, which I don't understand at all. They released really strong results. They're cutting costs, improving revenues, including margins. Everything seems to be going really well there. But I think the market is just looking to take profits because it's had such a strong move. I mean, from the base, we are up 270%, which is crazy. But you can see this is me buying on the way down rather than my new system, which would be, I mean, I might have thought there was a base there, but I would have been stopped out, and then I would have started building a position down here. So we'd have a lower average share price with the new system. Again, if we get stopped out, we get stopped out, and we'll rebuild a position when it recovers, or we just hold. I have a full size position in this, so there's no adding to it. Once it gets above here, that would just continue on. Microsoft. Yeah, it's a very similar situation to Meta, really. Not quite the same moves, but it's in this sideways channel now, so I've put my stop just underneath, looking for it to break out. I actually do have some room to add to this position. So once, if and when it does break through here, that's effectively all-time highs, which is a very strong signal. So I probably would do my final addition to my holding in this stock. Even though it's above my valuation line, we've built a position at lower values, and it'll be kind of more of a momentum trade than anything. But I feel comfortable doing that because it's past my checklist. I've built a position at a lower level, and I'll put a stop in place so I can't lose too much. And then finally we have Serica Energy. So again, this is a UK gas and oil company based in the North Sea, quite a small company. They were 100% gas until about a year ago, and they acquired another company called Tailwind Energy, who are mainly oil. So now they have pretty close to 50-50 oil and gas, so they're a bit more diversified than they were before. They're not so reliant on the price of one of the commodities. And this is just so that my portfolio is a little bit more diversified, just so I've got a bit of exposure to kind of the energy sector and the kind of raw materials sector, and it's a bit of a hedge as well, because obviously all of the things that have been affecting stocks and things is to do with inflation, and if inflation starts to rise again, it's probably going to be due to kind of cost of oil and gas to some extent. So my other stocks may get impacted, but it should help the price of this stock. So it's kind of a small hedge by owning an individual stock. So yeah, I've been building a position here. Here, the reason for adding at the top was I had this line was actually down here, and it where was it? It was here on this support here, and it broke through on volume, this support here. So I added on that day, and unfortunately it kind of fell back through. But my stop's at the bottom of the channel, so no harm done. I'll just keep holding, and then I will add again. So the new resistance now is kind of the top of there. If it breaks through again, I will add again, and yeah, hopefully it starts kind of moving up. So that is an overview of my portfolio. As I say, let's go back to the 1 month. So yeah, not great for this month, minus 3.27, but plus 6% for the year to date. So not too bad. And the past couple of days, so the first and second of November, have been very good days. So hopefully we have a bit of a Santa rally, and we can push this up towards kind of 10% for the year. That would be very nice. I'd be very happy with that. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Let me know if you like this format. As you can probably tell, I'm kind of just rambling and making it up as I go along. I hope, and I'm fairly certain as I do this more and more, this is only my first kind of monthly portfolio update, I'll refine it and it will get to be a far more professional video. Not actually professional, but just more so than it is right now. So I hope everyone else's investments are going well. As I say, drop some comments and questions in the comments if you want to know anything else, and let me know what you think of the format. And thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, please consider subscribing, dropping a like, all of that kind of stuff. That really helps. I'm obviously an incredibly small channel at the moment. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye.